if Minnesota and Virginia are in play, and you can see they're light blue, so those are lean Democratic states, if they were in play, you would be talking about something akin to a 300 electoral vote margin, maybe 320 for Donald Trump. So that would show a very confident Republican Party. Congressman Amy Barrett, who says the Democrats are better served with their new presidential candidate and has endorsed the vice president. Congressman, good to see you, sir. Thank you. Why not let this play out for a few days? Why endorse Harris right off the bat?
Well, Leland, thanks for having me on. I've known Vice President Harris for years, fellow Californian, fellow South Asian. Think she's served admirably at the side of the president for 3.5 years. Think she's ready to do this. I think President Biden has done a phenomenal job. I mean, he's been a great president. He's going to continue being president. But as you just showed on that map, with him at the top of the ticket, it was going to be a tough race. Kamala Harris gives us a chance to win this race, and I think she'll be a really strong candidate.
Okay, few things. Kamala's favorability rating, 37.7%. That's the same as Joe Biden. Right now, Donald Trump in head-to-head matchups beats her by 2 points. We don't have swing state polling for her, but if you're up 2 in the national polls as a Republican, you do pretty well in the swing states. Nothing in your answer to my question talked about any of her accomplishments. What would you speak to specifically that she's done as vice president that proves she's ready for George Washington's job?
I mean, so she was a very good attorney general here in the state of California, and I saw the work that she did as attorney general in California. The vice president's job is to support the president. And look at the policies that have come out of the Biden-Harris administration, the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, the American Rescue Plan. These are huge investments in America, bringing jobs back here. She does get credit for that. And, again, sitting side by side with him, looking at the national security reviews. I'm a member of the Intelligence Committee. This is a dangerous world right now. And she's the one Democrat who has access to all of that. President Biden has done a wonderful job, keeping a coalition together in Europe to fight off Vladimir Putin, trying to contain a war in the Middle East and end it, and trying to prevent a war in Asia. So, we're in a dangerous time. I think she's more adequately prepared than, say, J.D. Vance or Donald Trump.
It's interesting you brought up Vance and Trump, and I talked to Republicans all last week. I think some got kind of irritated at me because I kept saying, what qualifies J.D. Vance to be one heartbeat away from the presidency? And certainly in the light of the assassination attempt on President Trump a week ago, hard to imagine it's only been a week, the vice presidency takes on a whole new meaning. But Democrats make the point that Trump is an existential threat and that he must be stopped, and nothing can be overlooked or is more important than stopping Donald Trump. Yet, there's not even been 10 minutes spent after Joe Biden dropped out asking if Kamala Harris is actually the best person to beat Donald Trump. And there is a lot of polling that shows she is not. Why is this coronation being rammed down Democrats' throats?
So we've had a lot of time to think about this. Obviously, since the debate, a lot of folks have been spending a lot of time thinking about how do we best present our ideas. And what you can now have is a presidential race of 2 different sets of values. One that talks about reproductive freedom, one that talks about, honoring, individual liberties and so forth, and, holding our place in the world. America is that indispensable nation at a time when there's so much turmoil and conflict around the world. The world still needs a strong United States of America. Contrast that with Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, that is talking about taking away a woman's right to choose her own healthcare decisions, pulling back from the world. I mean, I looked at the comments that former President Trump said about Taiwan, about pulling out of NATO. I worry about what that world would look like.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.